Welcome to my channel. Today I want to share with you some sweet and spicy fragrances. So I've got 10 here. I wanted to include a few more, like I talked about a few of them in my fall favorites, but I wanted to share with you some other fantastic kind of sweet, spicy fragrances that are noteworthy that I think you may be interested in. So before I get started, if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that button. Join the Weird and Wonderful family. It would be amazing to have you part of the community. And let's get into this. So I'm going to come out with a bang and start with Spicy Delice by JUS Perfumes. Now, first of all, I actually really enjoy this bottle. The cap's a little weird, but I love the kind of gem there in the middle. And I just think it's a really pretty bottle. It screams fall to me. Now, this fragrance is definitely a spice bomb, but there is a hint of sweetness in this. There's lots of spicy notes, but the primary note that I get in here is for sure ginger. Now, it's a different type of ginger than something like a Twilly Eau Ginger that's like got some florals in it and makes it a little bit more airy. This one is definitely like a really spicy mix. It has ginger, cardamom, and pink pepper in the opening. In the heart, it has cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg, and davana, and the base is amberwood and vanilla. So definitely that vanilla kind of helps to kind of make it not just full-on spices, but to me, this is a spice market. Like, just imagine taking in the smells of a spice market. It's a little bit dry feeling, and I love taking a fragrance like this and pairing it with a vanilla or with something like Les de Biscuit by Chabot. When you mix those two together, what you get is a spiced ginger cake. This is just fantastic. I think that this is a fragrance that is definitely unisex, but I can see men gravitating towards it more so than women. I think because when I think spicy fragrances, a lot of times they are found in guys' fragrances. So when you think of Spice Bomb and different fragrances like that, where it's quite spicy with some sweet in it, same thing with this one. But I just think it's excellent. The longevity is phenomenal on here. The projection is great. So if you're wanting to spice up any fragrance, this is fantastic. I just love it. Now, as I was looking at my collection, I had to turn to Untamed Perfumes. Sunyata, she's the nose behind Untamed Perfume fragrances, and she is a major fan of spice. So there are 3 fragrances here that I want to talk about. The first one being the newest one called Dancing in the Flames. Now, the idea behind this fragrance is it's like a phoenix rising up out of the ashes. So you have a little bit of kind of that burning, fiery, smoky feel, and then this beauty kind of rising up out of the ash. This has a whack of notes. One of the notes that are in the top that lots of people have mentioned on Fragrantica that they notice is the apricot. I don't get the apricot. What I get is cinnamon, nutmeg, and a little hint of that mastic in there. So a little bit balsamic, a little bit spicy. There's frankincense, there's honey, there's some birch tar, incense, lots of different things going on in here. But what I get is like a real major spice kick. It reminds me a little bit of sweet tarts. So you know that spicy hot cinnamon, that's kind of the vibe I get, along with some balsam and some incense. As this warms up on the skin, it gets a little bit sweeter, but it stays quite resinous and spicy for quite some time. This thing is a beast mode performance. Like, you're gonna get 12 plus hours out of this one. It's definitely a powerhouse fragrance. These are extrait de parfums. So you've got to like that cinnamon, you've got to like that spiciness, but it's very, very unique and definitely worth a sniff. Another one that's just fantastic, super spicy, is Mevlana by Untamed. I like this one better than Dancing in the Flames, so I'm kind of putting them in order of my favorites. Now, Mevlana in the Medieval City, it's got some cardamom in there, there's pink pepper, there's tobacco, there's coffee, there's rose, dried fruits, vanilla, sugar. So it's this really interesting composition of kind of spicy, again, I think a spice market with some coffee, some tobacco, a little bit earthiness. This feels a little bit wild. What I think of every time when I smell this fragrance is this book that I read years ago. It's by an author named Stephen Lawhead. And essentially this woman by accident stumbles upon ley lines in the UK, and she finds herself, she's kind of a mousy thing. She finds herself in a medieval time in the middle of a very bustling city, and somehow she finds her bearings and becomes essentially a mogul. She sources out coffee. She brings coffee. I think it's somewhere in Germany she's at. She starts this little coffee house with a bake shop there, and that's kind of what funds her exploration of the ley lines and traveling through time. It's super cool, but just the whole idea of a medieval place where you're getting kind of smokiness off on the background, and then you can smell the spices kind of drying in the air. That's the feel that I get for this one. It's super cozy, it's decadent, it's sexy. I just think it's an amazing fragrance and definitely great for fall and winter. And the last spicy one, this is my favorite from Untamed Perfumes. Like, I just love this fragrance, and it is Blackbird. This is spicy, but it's a little bit more sweet. It's got rose in it. It's one of those delicious kind of almost like an oudy jammy rose feel in this. Definitely the rose is prominent, but it's like surrounded in this spicy goodness. The main feel in here is the spicy notes in the top, the rose, and then some sandalwood oud in there. It's so opulent and luxe. This is probably the most mass appealing out of the three. It just holds its own with any of the absolute best jammy rose oud combinations. This would be probably my top pick out of anything in that genre. This is just absolutely gorgeous. So I love this one. I think Lux, this is the fragrance that I also always think of when I think fancy winter party at an exceptionally grand brownstone in New York. This is the fragrance that I would definitely be wearing. Love, love, love this one. It's spicy, it's rose, it's sweet, and it's just so opulent. Absolutely love it. Now, when thinking of sweet and spicy, you don't have to go any further than Sugar Leather. This is fall in a bottle, honestly. There's cinnamon, caramel, labdanum, leather, and amorous in this. Now, the leather is present, but it creates a spicy feel. So think kind of burnt sugar with some spices and just a hint of leather, like a whisper of leather, and you have this fragrance. It's sweet, but somehow it's not too much because it feels somehow almost like lacy. So I think of, you know, those sometimes you'll see on fancy dessert, they'll take burnt sugar and they kind of make a crisscrossy pattern, and it forms this kind of like weird little lacy sugary thing that they put on the desserts. That's the vibe that this fragrance gives me. Just a little hint of spice from that leather, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This one is sophisticated and sexy, and it's very, very sweet without being too sweet. Sometimes fragrances like Angel's Share gets a little too sweet and thick for me, whereas this one gives me that same vibe, even though there's no apple in this one or no booze. It has kind of a little bit of a boozy feel to it. So it's absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of a delicate sweet and spicy. Sometimes sweet and spicy gets quite thick and heavy. This one remains kind of airy, and it's so airy in a way that it's a spicy fragrance that you could wear even in hot weather. So love this one by Une Nuit Nomade. Sora Dora is another one. I could have chosen quite a few that fit kind of a sweet spicy, but I wanted to go with Red. It's one of their newer releases. And what is spicy about this one is definitely it's cardamom heavy, but this one has some surprising notes in it. So it's got cardamom, coconut, pink pepper, mandarin orange, clementine, and bergamot in the top. In the heart, it has hazelnut, nutmeg, fig, mugwort, iris, tiare flower, frangipani, clove, ylang ylang, and jasmine. And then in the base, it has sandalwood, caramel, woody notes, and musk. So it's got this coconut, frangipani, tiare note mixture, but also cardamom, nutmeg, clove in there. So this feels to me like Broceliande without the limey vibe. It feels boozy. The caramel in here is amazing. It's sweet. I get a lot of that cardamom, nutmeg, clove mix as opposed to the coconut tiare frangipani mix. Now my husband, he noticed the coconut off the bat. Since I got this one, this has become my son's favorite one. So before it was Broceliande, now he absolutely loves this one. And it smells intoxicating, rich. It's very sensual, but it's also understated. So I just think it's a gorgeous fragrance. You could wear this all year round, but I'm seriously in love with this fragrance. I love the spiciness, but I also love the fact that it's juxtaposed with some beautiful florals, coconut, citruses. It's just decadent and mouth-watering. So really love this one. I think of this one as being super sophisticated, going to some sort of it club in the financial district. You go there, you've just, like, I think about that one movie with Russell Crowe that I absolutely loved, and he made a killing, and then he goes to this like really kind of sexy restaurant slash club, and everybody is from the financial district and they're dapping him up. That's what my son calls it, but like giving him the high five basically. Yeah, this is the fragrance that I would want to be wearing. So it's something that smells like a rich executive, definitely unisex. This doesn't lean feminine or masculine to me. So if you're into the unisex fragrances, this is definitely one worth checking out. Love it. The next fragrance that kind of fits that sweet and spicy vibe is Chergui by Serge Lutens. Now this is an oldie but a goodie. It has tobacco leaf, honey, hay, incense, sandalwood. Those are kind of the notes that I notice the most. Definitely the tobacco and the hay gives it that bit of spice, but then you've got the honey, there's some amber in here. So it smells a little bit almost tea-like. It always feels like there's some cherry in here, even though there isn't. And it feels a little bit vetiver-esque. So I find hay vetiver to be kind of almost sweet, spicy, yet dry. So this is a gorgeous kind of tobacco fragrance. There's enough sweetness in this to make it not too masculine feeling. Again, this is super unisex. It's very cozy for fall. It's probably the least spicy, but I wanted to mention it because it has that moody kind of spicy sweet feel. I just think it's gorgeous. This one has really decent longevity on me as well. So really enjoy this one. Another amazing kind of sweet spicy fragrance is Herod by Perfumes de Marly. That is such an excellent fall fragrance. I don't have the original, but I do have Moira from Ocha, which I think is quite similar. So Herod has cinnamon, pepperwood, tobacco leaf, incense, osmanthus, labdanum, vanilla, isoe, super, cedar, musk, cypriol oil, and vetiver. Definitely a tobacco fragrance with that cinnamon in it. It smells sweet and spicy. Like this is the epitome of sweet and spicy. It smells warm, it smells sensual, and even though this fragrance is marketed to men, this is definitely a fragrance that females can wear. It's one of those sweeter fragrances for men that to me is completely unisex. So I absolutely love Moira. I love Herod. There is a Middle Eastern dupe. I can't remember the name of it offhand. It's in my and Val's Middle Eastern fall video that just came out not too long ago. I think it's called Hercules. So that one is an excellent rendition as well, but I personally think Moira is better, and the longevity on this is fantastic. The original Herod is also fantastic. So love, love, love this fragrance profile. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Speaking of Middle Eastern fragrances, I can't leave out Kaheela Lux. Now, Kaheela Lux is similar to Amber Invite Only by Kaheela. I personally prefer Kaheela Lux over that one, but they're quite similar. The main things that I pick up in this are definitely some cinnamon, some tobacco, a little bit of cherry. There's honey, chocolate, hazelnut. There's definitely rose. I get some sandalwood, some vanilla, and some oud. It's super opulent, rich. It's totally luxe smelling. It reminds me, or it's in the same family, at least this one, not necessarily Amber Invite Only by Kaheela, but this one does kind of remind me of Noir Parfum by Tom Ford, which is one of my favorite fragrances. So this has a spicy dessert-like quality that smells kind of creamy. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's so stellar. Like it's a must-have, and this is really affordable. Botefumeiro by Carner Barcelona is just an absolute excellent sweet, spicy incense fragrance. Now, this doesn't have a whole lot of spice notes in it, but it definitely has some nutmeg, and I get that incense. There's some sweetness. I think it must be the styrax. I don't know. All I know is it smells sweet and spicy, and out of all the fragrances, the first three that came to mind was Botefumeiro, Kaheela Lux, and spicy delice. So this, for some reason, it registers as sweet and spicy to me. Definitely an incense fragrance. This one is very smooth feeling. There's nothing fraying about this one. It just smells like liquid silk somehow. It's very moody. It smells grounding. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you like incense fragrances, this is a must-have. It has some florals. So there's freesia in here and lily of the valley. There's Spanish labdanum in here. I don't really get those florals. What I get is just a really smooth, slightly spicy, incensey vibe that's just absolutely sexy. It's addictive. It's grounding. It's awesome. And the last fragrance that I want to mention today is Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli 64. So this is definitely more gourmand than any of them, but that patchouli adds a spice to this that I just think is absolutely decadent and amazing. So this has some rum, it's got some spicy notes, there's tonka in here, there's leather, there's creme brulee, there's sugar, brown sugar, vanilla, there's a bit of rose in there, a bit of oud. What I get is this kind of spiced vanilla patchouli fragrance that is so sexy. It's sugary, it's creamy, it's boozy. It's absolutely mouth-watering. Just absolutely love this. I love the fact that it's spicy, but it's not too spicy. So it smells gourmand. It doesn't smell like a sweet spice. It smells like a dessert that has some spices mixed into it. It doesn't get too heavy. It doesn't feel incensey at all. Sometimes they put incense with the vanilla. This one just smells so delicious and decadent with that rum and brown sugar, creme brulee, vanilla, spices. Oh, it smells good. To me, it smells like a spiced creme brulee. And I'm a huge fan of cinnamon, nutmeg, clove. Like I put cinnamon, nutmeg, clove in my coffee, eggnog, like that kind of vibe. That's what this gives me. So although that sounds super gourmand, it also smells rich, sexy, and sophisticated. So I absolutely adore this. I'm so thankful to have this in my collection. So that is it. Those are my sweet and spices. I'm sure I've got lots more, but those are the ones that came to my mind. What about you? What are your favorite sweet, spicy fragrances? Please weigh in. And if you've smelled any of the ones that I have mentioned today, please weigh in and share about them. I would love to hear your thoughts. And other than that, have an amazing week. We'll talk to you soon.